Motion carries. Next item is our student enrollment update.
We have 1,599 students in seats. Our free and reduced lunch rate is currently at 19.34%. And between our virtual charter school and our in-district SCC charter school, we have 235 students, either full-time or part-time, taking virtual courses. And we have 277 students open enrolled in.
Questions or comments on the enrollment update?
Tim, not on students, but what's staffing vacancies? Like, I think we had like a 7th grade language teacher, and now we have a school wrestling coach. How many open positions are we sitting on?
We're the wrestling coach. Pam could help on that.
What are we trying to
6
fill?
hour,
A current open vacancy.
6
Current
hour
vacancy.
special ed para.
Halftime school psych at the high school. Halftime school psych at high school.
6-hour para and a middle school wrestling coach. Those 3.
Middle school and elementary play. And a halftime track and field. Isn't that correct, Jason?
Yep, I'm trying to look at that.
So did we find our English teacher or language arts teacher?
We're interviewing on Friday.
Okay.
How many?
4.
Thanks. Okay. Any other questions with regards to the update, enrollment update? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our student, staff, and community recognition, which we have, I believe, 2 at this time.
Yeah, a thank you to Alyssa Fritchie and Catherine Regnier. Thank you for planning and hosting the Middle School Veterans Day program. It's both inspiring and impactful. So those board recognitions for the month. And just on an individual note, neighbor came up and said they were at the middle school and they think it's like a premier event of the year at the middle school. So year over year, Pete, that middle school knocks it out of the park on Veterans Day. You know, a lot of planning, but the music is spectacular, and 2 young ladies did the national anthem, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so good compliments, and so those are the thanks for this month.
Okay. Good job, all. And if anybody else has any recognitions to submit, please submit those. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of approval of a resolution to adopt soccer at St. Croix Central. This request came in, I believe, the first part of September from a plethora of parents of students who played soccer and wanted an opportunity to play varsity, junior varsity soccer for their own school district, just St. Croix Central. We have looked at co-ops with other districts. Nobody is interested in co-opting for fear that it'll bump them up into another division. And there seems to be enough interest in St. Croix Central to support such a program. And also, I would say support it without negatively impacting any of the other activities. You wanna fill in on anything else, Jason?
We met with give the opportunity for the head coaches of current varsity sports to weigh in on their thoughts 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks. They were very supportive of the opportunity. In general terms, there were some fine-tooth things that we need to work out. They weren't something that would hold back a yes vote from their stance. It was a lot of logistical things, and then concerns about, the budget and where the funds would come from. Other than that, it was mostly about the field, where they would play, sustainability of our current varsity football field, and looking for ways to find a place for all parties to play on a usable surface with field wear and tear, to make sure that we're not put into an ineligible category for hosting playoffs based on field preparedness qualifications for player safety. So that was basically it.
Okay. Basically, we've gone over the finances, Jen, and we can move forward with it on the basis of starting as early as next fall.
Yeah, we're just starting to put together a preliminary budget for next school year, so we can get that worked in.
Not to throw a huge wrench into the conversation, but in regards to finances, after sitting down and having a conversation with Brian, adding soccer does cause a little issue with the transportation department in regards to we'd be short one bus, and we already call on Bill Emery and Brad Holzer to drive in the spring. We definitely have to do some recruiting for drivers. But in the amount of buses we have in our fleet right now, adding soccer, and taking one more bus out while we do the route, especially in the spring, probably more than the fall. So we really have to be cognizant then if we're moving forward to really make sure we get that bus. And we won't be able to get rid of a bus this time around. But Brian's more concerned with the manpower than he is actually with the bus. Cause like I said, I know these guys let Bill out early a lot in the spring. And now this past spring, I was letting Brad Holzer out to drive middle school track. So we already have 2 teachers helping out in the spring to try to make these trips happen. So I know Brian's really concerned with that, but we would be short, in his mind, we would be short a bus to be able to make this happen in regards to the amount of buses we have in our fleet.
So physically short a bus or using an additional bus and not having a backup?
Mm-hmm.
Now, which one?
He told me we'd be short a bus. He never talked about anything about a backup. That may be his thinking though, John. I didn't ask that question.
So, made purchasing a bus a priority, which I think already was, and then over the next 8 months, finding at least one more driver. Is that what those are our obstacles,
Only if,
transportation,
baseball,
baseball,
away
softball.
scheduled at the same time.
It's gotta be pretty rare.
Correct.
Yeah,
But
so I mean, there's one way around that is trying to be unique in scheduling and not sending another
It would be very unique in scheduling. Where it does get tricky, however, is really shuffling the deck with conference scheduling, because I don't schedule any of those competitions. So if there are away, I do as much as I can to flip-flop with other conferences, home and away. But if you're switching game sites, you're switching game officials, and that's the conference commissioner's call, with both ADs have to be in alignment. So if the other school doesn't want to switch with you, well, let's say they go from a premier Friday night basketball game to a Tuesday game, for instance. They don't want to do that. They have to be in agreement. And those can get tricky, especially when you stack it up with middle school sports and the amount of kids, sheer amount of kids that we have going out for track and field and all these sports. So if we have baseball, softball away, and a track meet where they're splitting up, and middle school track, well, I mean, there's no way around it. You do as much as you can to avoid those times and split them out, but sometimes they're uncontrollable. Because I don't schedule everything. I schedule
Or you send them all to the same school and you load up one full bus with all the teams.
We have done that, we've
We were-
dropped off,
We were double, we were dropping off and coming back.
coming
and-
back and dropping off sites and going to different cities and traveling around. So there is a reality in that, and we were doing that last spring already.
The other nuance with that too, we're running into that issue now, is, working with Pat, we've got a couple more different homeless families. So now we're running a couple vans and, we're actually, Brian is actually pulling one of our afternoon custodians, to drive one of the vans.
So, I mean, it comes down to, does it, make soccer a bad idea? Or does it just say we have some,
No, not at all.
logistical things to?
No, I just wanted to add this in regards to
We got months.
part of the conversation to consider as we move forward.
Well, and the soccer families said that soccer families figure things out, so we need to challenge them to get a couple of certified bus drivers.
Put 'em in.
Yeah. Any other comments, Scott, in regards to it? Okay. I guess at this time, we would then, would ask that, we have a motion to approve a resolution to adopt soccer.
I shall make a motion to approve a resolution to adopt a soccer program for SCC,
Or starting 2020.
starting 2020.
Okay, that would be fall of 2020, correct?
That's the season, yes.
Just to clarify too, the Middle Border Conference is prepped and ready.
Thank you.
So then, and I like the way you phrase it, to start a soccer program. I think that we need to leave it up to our AD and administration. Are we starting with just a varsity team, and we'll know when it's time to add JV, et cetera? You're saying soccer program, we're not designating. I think the only caveat is we should say it's for both boys and girls. If you would. Or is that part of the program? Yeah.
So boys start in the fall, girls start in the spring.
Okay, I shall amend the motion to include both the boys and a girls program.
Second. Unless someone raised.
Okay. A motion and a second, is there any further discussion? This is the motion. Okay. All those in favor of the motion to adopt, adding soccer program, St. Croix Central for the boys and girls starting fall of 2020. Designated by, an aye vote.
Aye.
Opposed to the resolution? Okay, motion carries. Okay, then we'll take motions then to, get the logistics and everything else worked out to make it happen. So. Okay, with that, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is, notice to the board of the automatic rollover provision of the administrative contracts for 2021.
I'd just like to remind the board and give notice that each administrator will receive a one-year contract extension on their current contract unless the board chooses to notify the administrator in writing prior to January 31st, 2020.
Okay. So we have all been formally notified of that, so. Okay. With that, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is consideration of final approval for our 2020-2021 school calendar. Which was initially presented at the last meeting on November 18th.
There have been no changes to the calendar since our last board meeting. So it's our recommendation to present to you this calendar for approval.
Okay, did you reconcile we had talked about Paris losing a day of pay in the new schedule, did that get reconciled to add them into another PD day? I thought they were losing
Yeah,
one day?
we did not change the number of teacher PD days or all staff PD days to do that. We just were reminded that there are a couple days each year where they have the option to come in as needed. So we did, rather than make that a formal all support staff, we're just gonna do that administratively.
Okay. Are there other questions with regards to the school calendar for the next school year? With that, I would entertain a motion to adopt the school calendar for 2021 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, David, second Scott, to adopt the 2020-2021 school calendar as presented. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of final approval of the 2020 summer school calendar, which was also presented on November 18th.
Same thing, no changes.
Move to accept.
Second.
Okay, motion John, second David, to accept the 2020 summer school calendar as presented. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, since we have such an early meeting this month, we're also entertaining a motion of consideration to have our board treasurer approve any post-board meeting invoices for December 2019.
So moved.
Second.
A motion John, second David, to approve our board treasurer to handle any post-board meeting invoices for the rest of the month. So, any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, is there any other business that we need to cover at this time? Okay, hearing none. Important upcoming dates. January 13th is our next scheduled board learning meeting. 6:30 here at the SCC district office. This is the second Monday of the month. January 22nd through the 24th is our WASB State Education Convention at Milwaukee, which we've already posted notices of that. January 27th is our next scheduled regular school board meeting here at the district office, 7 p.m., which is the fourth Monday. Are there any other dates that I missed? Pam?
Did you want to post another meeting for wage and benefit?
We had talked about January 13th, and is that at 4:30 again
Yeah.
at the high school?
Yeah, we'll
Or-
keep it there. Since it's open, we never know how many people are gonna show up, we'll just, I think, keep it.
4:30 on the 13th at room 118 in the high school.
And what we talked to about reserving that.
Wendy, we need to go on the
Facilities.
facilities use, fill it out.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other dates? Okay, hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to convene in closed session for Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Do I have said motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion David, second Kirk. Roll call vote. David?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll take about a 2-minute recess and then we'll reconvene closed session.